so happy to talk to you guys. As you probably already know, I can help out with everything that we indie musicians do. But I thought I'd go a little off track today and talk about one of my side passions. I'm going to get geeky on you, which is avoiding burnout. Because that is such a big thing that is kind of like the dirty dark secret of being an indie musician is like, oh, I gotta go all the time. I gotta go, and I gotta hit it hard even if I don't feel like it. And if I burn out, then I'm just a wimp, or I'm a slacker because I'm not trying hard enough, and I don't want anybody to know that maybe I failed, or maybe I just had a freak out and I had to take a big break. And so we're afraid to talk about that a lot of times. And I kind of wanted to lift the veil from that and stop making it taboo, because we need not only to learn from all the great ideas that each of us has and all of the great experience that we all have, but, let's share the wins, but let's share the fails too. Let's make it okay to fail to some degree, because that's what learning is all about, right? I mean, none of us jumped into being an indie musician marketing ourselves. None of us knew what the heck we were doing when we first started. We've all learned. We've all gotten wisdom and experience over the time. Even if we just started, you're still getting wisdom and learning and growing. And so I want more people to feel like it's okay to talk about the fails as well as the wins, about when you feel like you fail. Because if we knew the struggle that others are going through, then we can be kinder to ourselves and say, yeah, it's okay. Maybe I'm not such a big slacker because I had this big life thing going on and I'm not making gazillion dollars in sales like those other guys are, because my other indie musician colleagues, oh man, they look like they're really killing it. And here I am, no sales or 1 or 2 sales. And then you feel bad about yourself when you start comparing yourselves to others. So let's not compare ourselves to others. And let's acknowledge the fact that we all come from different walks of life. We all have different situations. We can't all be the go-getters all the time. And a lot of us listen to the motivational speakers as well. Like, oh, you listen to these motivational speakers and you feel so inspired and you're like, yeah, I gotta do it all the time. I gotta muscle up. I gotta power through, and I'm going to do it until I die. Well, yes, but we don't hear a lot of them talk about balance, right? We don't talk about balancing that energy and that determination with the rest. Yeah, because none of us can be on all the time. I mean, our bodies are designed to sleep X number of hours a day, and here's a hint, it should be at least 5, but I'm going to encourage you to get more like 7 or 8 hours of sleep, and that is where your body's going to perform optimally. And so go ahead and get the extra sleep. If you're tired, take a nap, man. Take a nap. Don't feel bad about it. So let's talk about all that determination and what to do with it, which we're full of, right? Because we're DIYing our music career. But let's talk about rest too, because so many of us, have listened to everybody else. We've looked at everybody else and we see all the success. We listen to the motivational speakers. We have mentors, whether we buy a course or something, and we look, oh wow, look at this person. This person's really crushed it. And I've just got to go. And I've got to do it too. And if you don't balance that with enough rest and enough being good to yourself mentally as well as physically, then you're going to burn out. We're human. We are going to burn out. And what good are you going to be to yourself or to anybody else when you burn out? Nothing. You're, what's the use if you're going to hammer yourself for a year or 2 or 5 until your body literally gives out on you, and then you're forced to stop? Then what? Everything comes to a crashing halt for your music business because you're not writing music anymore. You're not performing it. You can't be there on social media. You can't even bring yourself to write a flipping email to keep in touch with your fans because you're just completely collapsed. So you're not doing yourself any favors by pushing yourself that hard. So you're just shooting yourself in the foot is what you're doing. So I've got some from my own personal experience. Let me start with that. I was this close to having clinical physical burnout, and if I had gone on much longer, then I'm sure that a doctor would have said, Megan, you're done. Cut it out. Stop it before you keel over. And then I would not have been any use to anybody. So I've got my personal life. My husband and I are a duo. I like to joke around and say that he's the musician and I'm just the drummer. But because he's got all the talent, all the songwriting talent, and I just put the beats to his talent. But I'm also the marketer. You know, he's the face of our band, and I'm the one doing most of the marketing grunt work in the background. And we are a homeschool family of 6 living children and 2 of them in heaven. And so people say, "Oh, Megan, you know, you're just crushing it. Yeah, I'm crushing it when I'm on my game. But now I'm making sure that I rest." So I was being a mom. I was working a full-time job, and then doing all this marketing stuff behind the scenes. And my husband is the musician. He's writing the albums, he's recording the albums, he's producing them, he's doing all the mixing and the mastering himself. And when he's not doing that, and well, actually while he is doing that, he's running the house. He's homeschooling our 6 children. And we doing most of the cooking, and you know, I jump in there and cook, you know, sometimes, but between having the day job and the full-time marketing, you know, full-time day job, then there's not a whole lot of time, you know. So he's pretty much running the house, he's making all the music, and he's taking care of the children. And now, you know, just recently with all the COVID nonsense, I was able to quit our job, quit my day job, and now I'm working from home, which helps. But long story short, you know, I was doing all this and I was like, yeah, I gotta go, gotta do it, I gotta push it, we're gonna crush it. And my husband had the same attitude. He named our first album Like My Life Depends on It, because that was his attitude. He said, I'm going to release this album as a solo artist like my life depends on it. If it kills me, I'm gonna do it. And so we were both, you know, all in our personal life, all in the music marketing. And I pushed myself so hard that I was just nearly burnout. I was having all kinds of physical trouble, and adrenal fatigue is one of the most common things that all of us are going to suffer, but especially women. Is, you know, we're going to have adrenal fatigue. Our hormones are going to be out of whack, men or women. And we're going to start feeling tired all the time. We're going to start getting other symptoms like immune disorders, like all this. Like a lot of us suffer. A lot more people in the society at large are suffering from immune disorders like Hashimoto's, and these are all related to just pushing ourselves too hard for too long and not having enough balance with rest and being kind to ourselves mentally and being kind to ourselves physically as well. So getting that close to burnout myself, I was already a hippy dippy health nut. I'm going to admit it. I was already one of those people, but it pushed me even farther into learning more about burnout and what the heck was wrong with me? What happened to me? Why did my body just, you know, fizzle out and stop working the way it was supposed to? And So I got deeper into that, and now I want to share what I learned with you and what's working with me, and I hope it'll work with you. So first I'm going to talk about everybody, men and women, and all ages, really. So what I'm about to talk to you about can also apply to your children or grandparents, mom and dad. So then I'm going to talk specifically, I'm going to dig into women's health, because a lot of problems that women suffer from, as far as burnout and our bodies starting to go wonky on us, is because women try to follow more of a male-centered model as far as determination and inspiration and working hard goes, and that actually damages our body when we try to follow a male model. And then from there, I'm going to talk about mommy burnout. A lot of us are mothers and fathers, and how to just how, you know, kind of how does parenting come into play with us as musicians, as DIY indie musicians. So how to balance parenting with it, and how to avoid being a parent burnout, being a mom burnout, a dad burnout. So first, let me talk about how to up your creativity. So, because that's what we are, right? We're creatives. And so how can we be more creative? And the surprising answer is by resting. Resting enough so that when we are in our creative mode, especially physically, we can then be super creative. So everybody, male and female, young and old, we all have a cycle. We have 4 different phases, and the phases are: one is your creativity phase, when you are feeling your most creative, when the songs are just popping to your head, you're waking up with great ideas. Oh, this is a great idea, I got to write this down before well, you're really creative. That's when you feel your most creative. And then after that phase is what I call your chill phase. You know, you're just going along, you're checking off the boxes on your to-do list, you're just chugging along, getting stuff done, and you're not at your creative mode there. You're still creative, but you're kind of gearing down from there into more of a flat space where you're just chugging along, getting stuff done. And then you are also more, you'll find, if you look at yourself, if you tune into your body and start analyzing your own behavior and your own feelings, you'll see that there are more times when you feel more talkative, you feel like up to going live on Facebook. There's gonna be some times when you're just like, ugh, do I have to go live on Facebook? Do I have to do the, I don't wanna. But then there's other going to be times when you're like really ready to do it. So that is going to be times where you are more chatty, more social, that sort of thing, or more times when you just being social and interacting with people feels better than other times. And then there is the total chill out rest mode, where you're like, okay, I got these things done, I was cruising along for a while, and now I just need to take a break. I just need to take a break, you know, I wanna play video games, I wanna read a book, I wanna just sit down on the sofa with my remote. That's all I feel like doing right now. You'll find there's a time when you do that. That's your chill out phase. And then there's the next phase, which is where you are where you find that after you get through that chill out phase, you'll find out that your creativity starts to go up. You start having more good ideas. You have more energy, more physical energy, more mental energy. And so we all have this cycle. Now, imagine all these things, these phases that I talked about, and then ask yourself, where am I? What do I feel like? Which phase am I in on any given day, at any given hour? And for men, you go through those 4 phases, in 24 hours. 24 hours, you're going to go through all those phases. So usually in the morning is, as soon as you wake up, that's usually going to be when you have your highest energy. It's a good time for you to go to the gym, and because you just feel like, ready to go, feel refreshed, ready to go. Or if not, kind of later morning after you get that first cup of coffee. And then so that's going to be the optimum time for you guys to do your creative stuff, to write songs, to record something, that sort of thing. Do music if you can during that time. And then after that morning phase, when you have peak energy, usually in the morning, it's not this way for everybody, but it's usually going to be for men. It's usually going to be when you're in the as soon as you wake up. And then you're going to find out that as the day goes on, you're going to be in kind of that cruising mode. Let's get stuff done, check things off my to-do list. And you'll see this, if you work a day job, you'll see this happen in your day job as well. You'll see where there's times where you're like, okay, I'm ready to have that meeting, which is usually in the morning. So then there's then after that, like afternoon time, where you're going through getting your stuff done. After that, after 5 o'clock, anywhere from 5 to 7 o'clock, men, is when you're going to kind of be like, all right, done. I'm feeling like I'm ready to take a little break, kick off my heels, talk to people. You feel more talkative, and guess what? That's why they call it happy hour. Kid you not, that's why they call it happy hour. Because everybody gets off work, the men get off work, and you're ready to go have a beer, you're ready to chill out with your friends or with your family, and you feel like more like talking, and you're just feeling loose, you're the social butterfly. And you'll find that is when you do it best. And then at the end of the day, so like starting around 7, 8, 9 o'clock, then you're ready, then you're in chill out mode. Then you're just like, okay, day's done. I just want to grab that remote and put my feet up, and I just want to chill. I don't even want to think anymore. I just want to channel surf. So that's usually when it happens for men, is at the end of the day. And then you go to sleep, and then you start it all over again the next day. And so just look at yourself and ask yourself, okay, when do I feel good about going live? When do I feel like I just want to cruise and get stuff done? And identify that time. Or do you follow that daylight pattern? For some people it's upside down, and you feel, you're most creative at like 2 o'clock in the morning. But for most men, it's going to be like I described, in the morning, through the afternoon, through happy hour, and through the evening, and then you do it all again the next day. And so look at yourself and identify when you're feeling these things. And it'll take a while, don't feel bad if you don't recognize these things instantly. It could take you a month or two before you finally become self-aware enough to say, yeah, you know what, I think this is my social butterfly time, because I'm ready to just talk with the wife about how things have been, how my day went. So take all the time you need to identify these periods in your day. And then once you identify those periods, then you want to start to, if possible, you want to start rearranging your day in a way that allows you to work at what you're doing best. So if you are one of most men who are like ready to go in the morning, ready to hit the gym and then do some creative stuff, then try to do your songwriting in the morning. Or if you gotta, make a video for an ad, this creative stuff, try to do that in the morning. If you work a day job, maybe get up an hour or two earlier in the day so that you can squeeze in that creative time. And then you'll find out, like, and if your day job as well. So you're like, okay, I'm in my get her done mode. So I'm ready to have that meeting first thing in the morning. Because later on the day, when I want to be checking stuff off on my to-do list, I don't want to drop what I'm doing and then go have a meeting. So if you can, schedule your meetings and stuff around that. So schedule your work life around then, and schedule your home life and your indie marketing business around that as much as possible. It's, and feel free, take all the time you need to fall into a new rhythm. Change one thing at a time. One little thing at a time to try and eventually get yourself into that ideal or more ideal pattern of working and scheduling your tasks for when they fit you the best. So social butterfly time might be a great time to go to your Facebook page or whatever and start responding to your fans. So all the comments that they've left you during the day and the 24-hour period, that's when you go to Facebook and you say, hi, react to your comments, and your messages, that sort of thing, because you're feeling more social. Or take that time to do your live stream because you're feeling more social. You're feeling like interacting with people. So now for women, what I just talked about for the men, that all applies to you except for one thing. It's not 24 hours for us. It is 24 days, 24 to 28 to 30 days do we have this cycle where we go around and around and through those different phases. So we'll have a whole week where we're just like, I'm just going to stay in bed and I'm going to read a book because I don't feel like dealing with anybody. We're going to have a whole week of that. And so work with it when you can. That's when you want to get as much rest as you possibly can. When you're in that week, then you're going to want to take a nap. Give yourself permission to take a freaking nap. Even if you're at a day job, go out to your car, put the seat back, and take a 20-minute nap on your lunch break. And be kind to yourself. And know that this is the time where you don't feel like the social butterfly. You don't feel like being all buddy-buddy with that coworker who's a little annoying. So give yourself permission to take naps, to rest, to go to bed earlier, to sleep in if you can, because that's when you need more rest. That's when a good 8 hours can work wonders for your energy during the other phases, because each phase complements the rest. If you are good to yourself during that particular phase, then you're going to feel even better during your other phases. So next for women, this is what I described for this is postmenopausal women. You're more like on the man schedule. You're more on that 24-hour schedule. But for women who are under the age of menopause, you're on a 28, 30-day cycle, where you go through this. So the next phase for women is when you are that social butterfly. You're like, you feel more like going out and doing fun things, and your energy is starting to go up from that really slow week. Each day you get more and more energy until you hit the peak, which is your creative week. So you have about a week there where your energy goes up, you're feeling more social, ready to talk to people, you're more tolerant of other people, that slightly annoying coworker or your fussy child. You have more patience, and you're just, more energy. Your energy starts to go up. And then you have a week where you're super creative. You have all these great ideas, so get your songwriting done, and that's when you don't need as much sleep. Then you can go maybe 5-6 hours a night, and you're cool. You're still got lots of energy. You couldn't, sometimes I'm to the point now where it's like, when I'm in that creative phase, I couldn't sleep 8 hours if I tried. I'll just lay in bed and my brain will be turning with all these good ideas that I have. And I can't sleep that long. 6 hours is the best I can do during that creative phase. So that's a good time to jump headlong into recording, writing new songs, and that sort of thing. Just do all that creative stuff. Anything that feels good, feels creative to you, do it then. Paint. If you're a painter, then do it. And If you need to make a video for that ad that you've been putting off because that other week you were just so drained and you didn't feel like doing anything, now's the time to create that little video for the ad because you're feeling creative and you have much more energy. So that you're going to have about a week of that. And then after that, you get more into your get it done mode. You're just cruising along with the things that you've set out for yourself, checking things off your to-do list, and you are still creative, but not as much as you were the previous week. And then you're just kind of in just getting things done. That's a good time to get organized, to look at your to-do list that has about 500 things on it, and to say, you know what, this thing that was at the bottom of the list now needs to be moved up. And this thing that was at the top of the list, that one can go down. So that's a good time to get organized a little and plan. But most of all, you want to just kind of go through that to-do list. And then after the end of that week, that's usually about a week, week and a half. And then at the end of that phase, you'll slowly see your energies going down. You need a bit more sleep. And then you go back into that phase where you need lots of sleep, lots of rest, and you don't want to do anything but sit around in your pajamas. And then that time, you'll also find that as that you go transition from that phase into your I don't want to get out of bed phase, then you're going to feel, you're going to be like questioning yourself a lot. You're going to be like, you know what, am I on the right track? Or you'll look at yourself and you'll like be looking around the house, for instance. You'll be looking around the house and be like, you know what? I don't like how I've been with house cleaning lately. I better pick up the pace. You know, you had a rough month and you're like, man, I don't think this house cleaning routine I had is working out. I think I better step it up. So this is when you're good at introspection. You're looking at yourself, looking at the direction that you've had over the last month, and you're saying, I don't think I'm liking the way that this thing is going, or I don't like the way this other thing is going. Or you'd be like, yes, I'm feeling good about this thing, this new project that I started, or this direction that I've been in. I'm still feeling good about it. I still feel like I'm on the right track. So this is a good time for introspection and notice what's going on in your mind and in your heart. So if you are maybe a little less patient, then it's probably your introspection kicking in. You know, you're looking around the house or you're looking at your life and you're like, man, I hate this day job of mine. That's when you're most likely to feel it, is right around that time when your energy goes down and you're almost in that phase where you don't want to, you know, do anything but sit around in your pajamas. You're going to say, I hate this day job. I got to fix it. I got to do something else. Or you're going to be like, you know, I had a good month. I like what I did. I feel good about myself. I think if I'm feeling all right. So if you have these kind of thoughts, then that helps you identify at what phase you might be in. So again, like the men, identify these phases in yourself. Become more self-aware of what you think and how you feel, and also physically how you feel. Do you have less energy this week, or do you have more energy this week? Do you need less sleep, or do you need more sleep? And how cheerful you are as well. So if you're feeling cheerful and social, then you're probably in your high energy phase as well. If you're not feeling so sociable, then you're probably more at the other end of the spectrum before you start all over again. So take your time and identify your own patterns, and then wherever possible, take your life and try to stick it into these patterns. So if you are in your really creative phase and you got a lot of energy, that is not the time to go through your house cleaning and do your house cleaning and your to-do list. That is not the time to look at your to-do list and say, oh, I got all these things, and prune your to-do list. That's not the time to do that. When you're being creative, just be creative. Feel free to be loose with yourself, to put that organizing thing off. You know, if you look at your ads manager and you're like, oh, what a mess. I gotta clean that up. Don't do it when you're in your creative phase, because you're not gonna do it as well as you could if you do it in that check off your to-do list phase, when you're organized. You feel, when being organized feels good, right, and your organizing phase, and before you go into your chill out phase. So that's when being organized feels good. That's when rearranging your to-do list might feel good. So don't feel free to give yourself the permission to not be so organized when you're in full-on creative mode. So give yourself permission to feel that way and go with that flow. Men as well as women. When you feel like you're in that phase, go with it. And try to take your daily schedule and weekly schedule, monthly schedule, and try to stick things in there. So it's like, if you've got a song that you got to get out to your fans because you have a Patreon, then do it in your creative week. Write that song, record it, produce it, and then when you're in your phase where you're like, okay, now I'm ready to just to write out the email about the new song, that's when I'm ready to upload it to Patreon. Then you're ready to do the administrative details that come with creating that song. So find these little things and stick them into your schedule wherever possible. It's not going to be perfect, especially if you work a day job. It's not going to be perfect, but the more you can do it, the better. The more tasks you can stick into the proper phase, the better you're going to feel the next time you come around to that phase, and let it snowball over time. It could take you a year to get into a more, ideal phase like that, to get more to ideal life schedule. That's what I want to call it. So give yourself a year to hit that groove. Give yourself 2 years to hit that groove. Just be kind to yourself and just do a little at a time. A little more introspection at first, and just spend the time on identifying your phases. And then once you feel like you kind of got the hang of that, then you can start one by one sticking your life into those phases whenever possible. So apply it to your day life, your music business, your day job if you work one, and also apply it to your family life. So, for instance, for men especially, whenever you're ready to, you get off, say you work a day job and you come home, you're in that social butterfly phase, you're ready in that happy hour, that's a great time to connect with your family. Connect with your spouse and with your family, and how was your day, and my day was this, and because you're just feeling more into it. You're feeling you want to stretch out beyond yourself and have those conversations. And same thing with you ladies, is like, if you want to have a meaningful conversation with your husband, don't do it when he just wants to sit on the sofa with this thumb on the remote, because he's in chill mode. His brain is not physically capable at that point of giving you the attention that you really are looking for. So that's just something that I haven't mentioned yet. As I'm talking about this, it's like, okay, yeah, Megan, where's the data? Why is this a good thing, Megan? And the reason for that is because of science. Science and studies on men and on women have identified these phases in us, in our hormones, our male hormones and our female hormones. It's rock solid science that, depending on our hormone levels, like for men, it's like their testosterone is highest in the morning, in that creative phase, and then it tapers off the rest of the day until he goes to bed, and then he starts all over again in the morning. Same thing with us ladies, but it's with our female hormones. When our hormones are at their highest is when we're most creative, and then our progesterone starts to slack off, and our progesterone goes up, and we feel more chill, and then we do it all again. This is science. This is hormonal science. So do yourself a favor. When you want to talk to your spouse, do it at the right time when he or she is in that optimal time. So if you want to be, if you're a duo like my husband and I, then our sweet spot is when I'm in my creative week and early in the morning for him. So early in the morning, we are banging out those songs and just getting everything done together. And that is our sweet spot. So think about how you can just plug your life into that, and also become aware of your spouse and your older children as well. So children who have reached puberty are more so on that cycle, the adult cycle, and then children who have not reached the puberty stage. Children before puberty are more kind of even keel all over the place. More, their moods depend on how much sleep they get. I mean, let's be honest. But once they hit puberty, that's when you want to start treating your little guy, who's now a teenager, more like a man. Because he's going to have his high energy in the morning, and he's going to slowly taper off the rest of the day. And that's when you want to start treating your little girl more like a woman and identify her cycles, and when she's more creative, when she feels more like a social butterfly, when she doesn't want to do much and she just wants to sit home and play video games. So that's when you want to identify that phase in your children as well. So think about the people around you, try to identify their phases, and identify your own phases, and slowly plug your life into a more ideal format. And so that's how you can boost your creativity, is by doing the right action at the right time and giving yourself permission to not do the wrong thing at the wrong time. Don't get down on yourself because you're just in full-on song mode and you want to write all these songs. Don't get down on yourself and start feeling bad because your ads manager is a mess. Don't beat yourself up over that. Don't get down on yourself mentally because it's not the right time. Don't look at your ads manager and be like, all right, I got to clean this up. I'm not going to write that song. I'm just going to go clean up my ads manager. Don't do it. Give yourself permission to say, ads manager, not today, Satan. Later. Later I'll do that cleaning up. So give yourself permission to be okay with your cycles. Be okay with your family members' cycles. And just be kind to yourself mentally as well as physically. Physically, eat right. I have two book recommendations for you ladies on how to eat right and eat the right foods for the right moment in your cycle. And I'll send out links or something. I'll get that information to you somehow. For those two books, but book number one is, they're both by the same author. Her name is Alyssa Vitti. Alyssa with a Y, Alyssa. Her last name is Vitti, Vitti. And she's written two books that talks so much more about the science of it. I'm not going to bore you with the science part of it. She goes into deep detail about the science of the hormones, and how to eat the right foods during the right cycle to also be kind to your body and give your body the right fuel that it needs during the right phase. So her one book is called A Woman Code, and that is more like an emergency book. If you're on the brink of burnout or you've already burned yourself out, that is like an SOS. Save me. Somebody save me. Jump into that book and start following her protocol now. And another thing that women will suffer is you'll find yourself having female issues. You'll find yourself having reproductive issues. Something that's like just a woman, like, why am I not fertile? Or why do I have polycystic ovarian syndrome? Why do I have these things? Why am I horrible? Why do I have horrible PMS? This is a warning sign that you're going downhill fast. And so that book is a quick, emergency fix it and fix it now book. And her other book is called Living in the Flow, I think, Flow Living, something like that. And that is more for every woman, menopausal and postmenopausal, but particularly perimenopause. That is for those of you who have not already turned yourself into a train wreck, and how to avoid becoming a train wreck. So she covers a lot of this stuff in depth. However, I will say that she is missing one key to the whole women's health thing, and that missing link is what a lot of people consider a fad, but really isn't, is keto, the ketogenic diet, and fasting, intermittent fasting and prolonged fasting. Those are the two keys that she's missing. So fasting and a ketogenic diet is, and if you take those things, learn about each one of them, and then combine the two, you're going to be a powerhouse by the time you, if you're a mess, by the time it'll help you heal yourself, and then you'll be a powerhouse by the time you heal yourself. And if you haven't made a mess of yourself yet, like I did, I made a mess of myself, then once you are healed or you haven't made a mess of yourself yet, it tells you how to become that powerhouse and avoid burnout. So look into those two books, look into the ketogenic diet. For ketogenic diet for ladies, I recommend a lady who on YouTube, she calls herself Dr. Mindy. Go check out what she talks about as far as ketogenic diet and fasting. And men, you guys go check out a YouTuber named Dr. Berg. It's like B-E-R-G, like iceberg, Dr. Berg. Go check him out. He's useful for ladies as well, but you're going to get a really strong female component when you go check out Dr. Mindy on YouTube. So those are my big resources there on how to take everything that I have given you in a nutshell and really take a deep dive into it. That's what you need to take a deep dive into it and really go crazy, rescuing your health or avoiding burnout to begin with. So yes, be determined. Yes, be a go-getter, but balance it with rest. Balance it with rest and doing the right task at the right time. And then there will be no stopping you. Then you'll have more energy than you ever did before. You'll feel better about life in general. You will feel better about life in general. You can avoid depression this way and lots of things that just kind of derail you. You're going to find the longer you do it, the deeper you get into it, you're going to start feeling better mentally and physically. You're going to start feeling better. So the last thing that I want to talk about is mommy burnout or daddy burnout. So all of these things that I've talked about is going to help you just be a better person, right? Aspire to be better, which is, why that's my logo for Aspiring Musician Studio. Aspire to be better, a better dad, a better mom, a better musician, a better coworker, a better employee, or a better boss to yourself. I mean, those of us who are self-employed, sometimes we can be our own boss from hell. We're too hard on ourselves. So it's going to help you be better in every aspect of your life. All right. So that's the big thing right there. But as far as like the life part of it, people always ask me, all right, Megan, how in the world do you homeschool all those children? How did you bear all those children? Why is your house not a circus? They ask me that. And to be very honest with you, depending on what phase of the cycle I'm in, there are days when people say, oh, Megan, you're such an inspiration. You do it all. And I'm like, well, today I got a shower and I kept the kids alive. Ta-da! That's my achievement for today. Because there are days where you're just in survival mode. So And then there are days where you just got it. You feel like you just got this parenting thing nailed, right? So, for the key to having a harmonious household is organization, but also recognizing the people around you and working for their needs, and also taking time and making sure that you get enough self-care in there, eating the right foods, taking a nap when you need it, asking for help. Asking for help is a big thing, especially for new parents. When you got a new baby, or maybe it's baby number 10, but it's a baby and you need help, you need a nap. So ask for help. Get people around you, whether it's your older children or a family member or another mom or dad who gets it. You guys can have childcare days where it's like, hey friend, hey my best friend, you have 10 kids, I have 10 kids. Today you get 20. You get my 10 and I'm going to take a nap. And tomorrow I get all 20 and you take a nap. So find a good support group for yourself, and make sure that you get what you need. I have an incredible husband, so we have this great balance where he is the one home teaching the children. We're both home now, but he's the one who is teaching the children and giving them that kind of nurturing, because let's be honest, I am not as good of a teacher as he is. He's just got a natural knack for teaching. I can teach, but I still hate math. I'm old now, but I still hate math. I don't want to do math with my kids, so he's better at it than I am. So that was what fit for us, was for him to be there in that way for our children. And it's also what we believe. We're, like I said, we're kind of those hippy dippy people. So it's also what we believe is homeschooling is a better choice for our family. So we make it a priority. But there is a balance to everything. Having a good partner helps. Having a good babysitter helps. If you are a single parent, then seriously look into finding a situation where you can have a live-in helper. Like back in the turn of the century, they had maids. Some people had maids. They had au pairs and nannies. Well, it's not impossible. You find yourself a teenager who is ready to leave the house, ready to leave mom and dad's house, but they're about ready to start college or something. They still need a cheap place to stay. Then ask them if they would like to be the stay-at-home, the live-in nanny. Find a little corner for them to live in and let them be the stay-at-home nanny, and that way that'll give you a little bit more freedom too. Or maybe they just come, a couple of days a week, and it's like they get to live with you for free, and they help take care of the children. That doesn't work for everybody, but it's possible. It's possible to find somebody in that stage of life, or someone who is retired and they're on a limited income. Well, have them come move in with you, and they can help be that live-in nanny while you while you get the day job done or more music business done. So so be kind to yourself, especially when you have a new baby, whether it's your first baby or it's baby number 20. Be kind to yourself and take some time off. If you can, at least take off the first couple of months of their lives, but if you can, fly as low as you possibly can and take as much time off as you can for the first 6 months of their lives, because they need a lot of that attention. They need it. They need that kind of attention from you, and you need a nap if you are giving them all that attention. So take as much time off work as you possibly can, and put as many things off of your plate as you possibly can. So for a musician, maybe that means putting the album on hold for 5-6 months. Go ahead and do that, and you'll thank yourself later, because that is time that you are never going to get back with your baby. That is valuable bonding time. I'm talking moms and dads here. This is valuable time where the babies their brains are still forming, and they are forming the synapses and these pathways that allow them to receive love and then later give love back. So give yourself every possible opportunity to lay the right foundation for when they get older. So that's my biggest thing for having a good and happy, balanced as possible home life. Because like I said, there's going to be days where you just keep the house from burning down, but it allows for more harmony later in life. And so try to do that as much as possible with every child that you have, whether you give birth to that child or whether you adopt a child. Take as much time off and then get helpers when you can. And routine is always good. You know, for me, routine, having this many children and having I had a day job for years and years and years, and now we're doing music full time now, my husband and I. The routine is big. You know, I feel a little bit like a military mom sometimes, but you gotta be, which is, my children are all early birds. They're up with the chickens. Literally, I have chickens too, have a little farm. They're literally up with the chickens. And so therefore, so am I, whether I like it or not. So my attitude is, if you're gonna wake me up at 7, you're going to bed at 7. So you don't have to sleep, but you got to be in bed. So definite nap times all the way up until 5 years of age. They absolutely must have nap time. And if they won't sleep, then it turns into quiet time. Quiet time is you play quietly in your room, or you read books if you're old enough during that nap time, because if you have older children and younger children, the baby's taking a nap, so are you. It's quiet. It's nap time for the baby. It's quiet time for you, older siblings. So manufacture that quiet time during the day, and then early to bed as well. So no matter how old they are, the little guys, for me, 10 and under, little guys are in their room at 6 o'clock. They have full tummies, they had dinner, they're in their room at 6 o'clock, and then they get to play quietly in their room for another hour or so, and then they got to be into bed. And then you don't have to sleep, son, you know, but you got to be in bed. And so, and the older children, 10 and up, they need to be doing the daily chores at 6 o'clock. Got to do your daily chores, dishes, feeding the chickens, whatever. That's what happens at 6 o'clock, and some chill time. And then 8 o'clock, you got to be in your room. You don't have to sleep, but you got to be in your room. And no electronics for my family, because we're quasi-Amish, is, you got to be reading books or writing or entertaining yourself in your room until you're ready to go to sleep. And so that kind of a pattern, it gives you a break in the day to do some laundry, for crying out loud. Or and then in the evening, it gives you time to work on the music business or on something else. So, or get up really early in the morning before they do and get that creative time in. And then you all go to bed at 8 p.m. So find a routine that kind of works for you. But having that kind of structure is the key to survival, in my opinion, when you are a parent, especially when you're a parent of multiple children. So and also as well, if you're homeschooling like I am, or if you're forced into homeschooling like by COVID and other stuff, then also give your child the right amount of homeschooling. Because don't try to follow the public school system. Don't do that to yourself. They have a strict thing where they're like, class time, break. class time, class time, class time, go home for, hours a day for the huge chunk of the day. Don't do that. That is not a sustainable model for homeschooling. And they've done studies on this already. I won't bore you with the science, but believe me when I say that the science is there to back me up, that at the most, a teenager needs 4 hours of school time a day. 4 hours. So the younger they are, the less they need. So that's all, and you don't need to study political history when they're 6 and 7. Save that stuff until they get older. So teenagers only need 4 hours of schooling a day, and they can largely do it themselves when they get that old. So you just give them a lesson plan and they follow it, and then you're taking care of the younger lambs. And so the younger they are, the less schooling they need. But when they're in kindergarten and right around that age, an hour, that's all they need. And it doesn't have to be an hour right at the same time. It can be 15 minutes here, half an hour there. So don't try to hold yourself as a parent, as an educator, to this totally unsustainable model, because when you take a good look at what they're doing in public school system and private school system, is most of this class time, if they have an hour of class, most of that class time is spent reviewing what they were supposed to have learned earlier, and then maybe at the end of the class they learn a little bit of something new. And then the next day, again, largely review, and then a little bit of something new. So that gives you the space to as a homeschooler, you know exactly what your child has nailed and what they need a little bit more work on. So, then you've got the freedom to do that, because the thing that propelled my husband and I into homeschooling was we had a special needs child. Our oldest, he's now 26. Our oldest was special needs. He was borderline autistic and he had a lot of health issues. And he was in public school system, and we could see how we're mom and dad, we knew how smart he was. But in the public system, he was just checked out. He was not doing anything. We're not doing any work, nothing, literally playing with his pencil all day. Pencil's a spaceship, woo! So we're like, okay, we got to find something different for this child. And so that started us on our homeschool journey. And so you also have the benefit of doing that, is giving the child their benefits. So if you're forced to homeschool, then don't be too hard on yourself. Don't be too hard. Just give them the appropriate amount according to their age. And then they have other activities during the day if you got to work on the music business, work on your side job, something like that. So don't feel like you have to give them 8 hours of schooling a day. They don't need that. They don't need it. Let me scroll through the chat real quick and see if anybody has some questions. All right, so Chris says, preach. Woo, yeah, preach it. Right, and Billy, you say Facebook Live really drains you. I get it. And my husband gets it too, because he's the artist, and I'm like, honey, this is the time to go to Facebook Live, so I try to encourage him. I recognize his phases, and when he is more likely to enjoy going on Facebook Live than when he isn't ready to go Facebook Live. Like, it's not going to be first thing in the morning, because that's when he's going to be the best at songwriting, or when he's going to be the best at writing those emails to our fans, because we still got to send out the regular emails, right? So yes, I get it about Facebook Live being draining. Try to do those Facebook Lives when it suits you the best. So as international musicians, we have to be aware of time zones and when are our fans online, when's a good time to go live to get the biggest audience. We got to take all that into account. But do take yourself into account as well when you're figuring out what time you need to go live. And For you as a man, that's going to be when you are in your social butterfly time, when you just feel more talkative. It feels a bit more natural to socialize, and when you find yourself that you have a little bit more patience and when you have more energy. So it's for you as a man, it's probably not going to be at 9 p.m. because by that time your brain is toast and you're just about ready to shut down for the day and go to bed. So find that cycle, find when that time looks, when identify and try and do it as best you can, stick that in there. And for you, it'll be more of on a daily basis, but it can also be a bit more of a weekly shift too, because, if you have a day job, then you gotta find out, when the live works better. Is it the weekend better? Or does the weekday work better? So that's going to be specific to your audience. All right. And Deb, you asked a question about menopause, and I hope I answered that. So good. So again, if you are beyond the age of menopause, then you're going to be more on that 24-hour clock that men are on. Not completely, but more so. All right, and let's see. No, I'm not going to say anything about daisy pattern wallpaper. Deb says, I thought you were going to say, I hate this daisy pattern wallpaper. All right. And Chelsea, you said, is it safe to assume the introspective time is during your period? Yes, that is for women, that's going to be the bleed week. Right up to the bleed week, leading up, the first few days leading up to the week of your bleed, and during the bleed week, that is when you're going to be the most introspective. And use that as your starting point for identifying all your other cycles. So if you have not reached menopause, your bleed week is going to be chill week. That is when you just be kind to yourself, sleep in, go to bed early, take naps, whatever you got to do to get in that extra sleep, listen to your body and how tired you are, and get that extra sleep, and also do that introspective, do that life-changing, the ship of me, what course is my ship taking this month? Or over the period of months? Do I need to correct my course a little bit and get back on track? Or do I even like the track that I'm on? If the answer is, nah, not so much, what can I do to shift it? And come up with these ideas of what you can do to shift it. And then do your best over the next month and the month after that to implement that course correction. So yes, use the bleed week as your starting point. And during your follicular phase, right before you become most fertile, and that's when your energy is going to be going up. And during the week that you ovulate, that's going to be your most creative phase. That's going to be your highest energy. And that's when you are ready to have a date night with your husband. That's when you're just feeling like, that's when you're feeling your best, your highest energy. And that's when you're going to be more likely to put in the self-care, right? Put some extra time into fixing your hair, a little extra, and put on the perfume this week, So find that these things that make you feel good and do them during that week. That's when you're going to be the most creative. So do your musician songwriting that week. If you have a day job, then find ways to help your business be more creative with your business tasks. And as a mom, that's when it's 100% okay to be the crafty mom. Oh, let's sit down with my little one and do this little cute craft that I saw on Pinterest. That's when you're going to want to do it. Not when you're bleeding, because when you're bleeding, you're going to be like, no, save me from the glue and the scissors. No. So don't do those things when it doesn't feel right. But when it does feel right, go crazy, go all in and do those things. And after your week of ovulation, that's our luteal phase, when our energy starts to go down and we're in our check off the to-do list part. We're checking off the to-do list, getting stuff done. So that's called our luteal phase. And if it helps, Find yourself a good app, on your smartphone or something that helps you track your fertility. And that will also help you identify your phases as well. Because if you're anything like me, before when people started talking to me about my fertility, I'm like, yeah, I don't know what that means. I have no idea what's going on with my body right now. You're talking Greek to me. I don't know. I can't identify these times. So an app is what helped me as well. An app isn't, one size fits all, but it definitely gives you an idea. You say, okay, according to this app, I'm probably going to feel more creative this week. Or according to this app, I'm probably going to have less energy. So that could be helpful as well. All right, so that was a long answer. Did I answer your question, Chelsea? Okay, good. All right, and Megan, Deb says, Megan would know better, but I can say that was totally true for me when I was still having periods. Very true. Yes, thank you. Yeah, let's talk about that. Feel free to jump in and talk about this stuff, because so many women, thank you, feminists of earlier years. Thank you for all the work that you did, like equal pay and equal consideration and all that. You laid a tremendous foundation for us, and we are reaping the rewards of that now. This generation is reaping the rewards of it. But this generation and the following generations, we also have a tendency to take it too far. Too far. For too long have we been forcing our female selves into the male model, the 24-hour cycle. So the 24-hour cycle works best for men. Go for it, guys. But women, don't try to force yourself into that 24-hour clock. If you can help it, try not to, because we're damaging ourselves that way. We are going against our hormones when we're bleeding and we're trying to go out there and be the go-getter of the meeting, the company meeting. Here I am, that can be so draining. So let's take the foundation that the previous generations have fought so hard for, and now let's make it even more female friendly. Let's stop pushing ourselves to the point of exhaustion and raise awareness with each other, especially, and with our male counterparts, because now you guys who've been listening to me go on talk about women, now you know more tricks and hacks on how to handle your wife or your girlfriend or your teenage daughter. Now you've got some good stuff to go on how to improve your personal relationships and how to understand why and how women get the way we do sometimes, because one week she's great, she's the best person ever, but the other week I can't stand to live with the woman. Now you have a better understanding of what we might be going through during that week. All right, so thank you. Oh, Deb says, thank you for permission to be messy when you're in creative mode. Yes, be messy. Be messy. Feel good about it too. Don't get down on yourself for it. Because it's so true. I can't keep the house clean and be creative at the same time. It's impossible. That's right. Save the dusting for the week where you look around your house, the introspective week, and you're like, oh crap, what have I done? Look at the mess I let this place become. That's when you're going to clean up the mess that you made the other week. All right. Ashley says she agrees with Deb. Yes. Ashley, like my comment, you gotta shower and keep the kids alive. That's enough for today. Yes, you're gonna have those days, and don't feel bad about having those days. On those days, that's when it's most important to give yourself a pat on the back for surviving. Okay? Feel good about just surviving these days. And it gives you, because you're not doing yourself any favors by having a really rough day, and then at the end of the day, you're going to criticize yourself for it. That doesn't help anybody. Doesn't help anybody. So just say, I'm glad today's over. Here's towards making it better tomorrow. Be nice to yourself about that. Hey, you're welcome, Chelsea. I'm glad you find it so helpful. Yes, Billy says adrenal fatigue, cortisol levels go sky high. Yes, absolutely. If you find your cortisol going up like that all the time, you're in adrenal fatigue. You have messed up your adrenals. So you're in SOS rescue mode. You have got to take extra steps about eating the right foods, and if therapy is what helps, get some therapy, and physical therapy, mental, psychological therapy. Try to eat the right foods and give yourself the grace to be more of a mess than other people are, because you're in repair mode. You're in repair mode, and you will find a way to overcome this and become a better version of yourself and get out of that burnout and get into being a healthier you. Absolutely. Right. And let's see. Steve says, I have a seasonal job, as I think you know. Yes, I do. And now during the winter is when I want to focus on my music, but I need to have a better schedule. It's like all over the place, getting up late, things like that. Yes, 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 definitely. So because you have a seasonal job, give yourself the grace and permission to work less on your music during the day, during the times, the seasons that your day job is taken over. So be kind to yourself and just not schedule so much music stuff. Just kind of keep the light on. Keep the light on, do bare minimum stuff, and just, keep the light on, keep the water running, and during those times. And then when you're off during the fall and the winter, then you can go into full-on music mode and recognize when your pattern is. So for your daily pattern, now that you have heard more about the daily pattern stuff, now you can identify, now you have the equipment to identify when that pattern is for you. For you, it's probably going to be in the morning when you have your highest energy and you're feeling more creative. So schedule out your day to be like, you know what, I'm just going to do music stuff. I'm going to create songs. I'm going to record. I'm going to make videos, whatever. Do the music, creative stuff in the morning. And then then in the afternoon, at noon in the afternoon, then do your admin stuff. Schedule that email to go out, write the email, plan, plan all that admin stuff. Do the mixing, or, that time of your day. If you do your own mixing or mastering, that's when you're going to feel good doing the mixing, as towards the end of the second half of the day, noon and beyond. And then try to cut yourself off, because sometimes you're going to be so much and like, yeah, I'm getting stuff done, I'm in the zone. Try to cut yourself off around 6, 7, and then, talk to your family, pick up the phone, go have a drink with friends. That's when you're going to feel good and be social, and then just come home and chill. Try to see if that pattern fits your hormonal cycles. And do as much as you can to kind of fit your day into that daily pattern of of high energy, and then getting stuff done, and then chill and sleep, and then doing it all over again the next day.
Yeah, because I'm actually more of a night owl, to be honest.
Yes, some of us are. Especially some men, are more of a night owl. And so if you feel like you're more of a night owl, I will tell you to, before you give yourself permission, 100% permission to be a night owl, first go through that self-awareness. Raise your self-awareness about when these cycles are, and then ask yourself, if you look at your life, look at the way you eat, things like that, and ask yourself, because sometimes when we are going all the time, 100% determination, sometimes we find ourselves upside down. So it could be a sign, if you're a night owl, I'm just saying, it could be a sign that you've gotten yourself turned upside down, and you need to correct your pattern and get more on that, morning to night cycle. That
Yeah.
won't work for everybody, but do ask yourself that. Ask
Hmm.
yourself if maybe you've kind of gotten into a habit like that. Because my husband
Hmm.
was the same way. He was a night owl. He did all the songwriting at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. That was when he was most creative. And at the time, it had to be that way because we had our two youngest children. The firstborn was high needs, special needs. So if a song was going to get written when they were asleep was the only time it was going to happen, and wasn't a lot of structure back then either. So, but then the more children we had, and the more structured we got, then he found himself turned right side up, and and then he feels better than he ever did back then. He's more creative now, and he's in a better mood most of the time. His mood, his personality is improved, but it took him years to get there. So don't feel like these things need to be overnight, but just ask yourself that question. If you're a night owl, why? Why are you a night owl? And start make sure that you eat as healthy as possible, and ask yourself and start plugging tasks into where you think maybe they should belong, and take it for a test drive. Be like, well, if you're more creative at 10 p.m. next week, try to do it first thing in the morning for 7 whole days, and see how it feels at the end
Hmm.
of day 7. It may feel like a horrible idea on day 1 and day 2 and day 3, but maybe by the time you get to day 7, you'll be like, yeah, I think this could work. Yeah, maybe it'll
Yeah.
work. So that could also be a sign that you might have gotten yourself turned upside down.
Yeah, and I think so, because I mean, which it makes sense because um, I'm so used to getting up early and everything during the season, and then when the winter comes, you want that rest, but then you want to focus on this, but yeah, it happens. This happens to me a lot, you know. Um, but yeah, no, I think it is a flip side.
Good, good. Just tell yourself, starting tomorrow, I'm going to be a bit more aware of how I feel, of my thought patterns, and then give yourself the time to become aware, because it's not going to happen overnight. It could take months to finally be aware of, what feels good during what time of the day. And you brought up an important point. Thank you for that. Is seasonal. Yeah, you have a seasonal job, but all of us, to some degree, feel the changes of the season, depending on if it's summer, we feel more energetic during the summer. If it's the winter, we lean more towards just chilling out by the fire or something. So also be aware of that, and go ahead and work with that as well, because we are creatures of this planet. The sun has a direct effect on our body, a chemical effect on our body, as well as does the night, as do the seasons, the longer days, the shorter days, the colder weather, the warmer weather. So definitely the more you can get your body tuned into that, the better. Definitely. I could
Yeah,
go on
because
for a long time about that too, but
Leia talked about that too. In her courses, she talks about that, about generating the season for when you do certain things
yes.
too.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Let's all be more human, and give ourselves the grace to be more human, to be more male, and to be more female as well. Yeah. All right. So see. Let me keep going. Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah.
Megan.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Does that answer all your questions?
Yeah, I think
Good.
so. Yeah.
Good. All right. So I see some people have their hands up. Thank you. Louis, I'm going to get to you first. Go ahead and unmute yourself. What's your question?
Okay, thanks. Well, thank you again first. And
You're welcome.
well,
My pleasure.
actually, it wasn't really a question. I just wanted to add something, if it's okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
please.
I was about actually to talk about the seasons, so that's great because yeah, you have to adapt according to the season. You have to sleep a little bit more in winter, and although we can feel guilty about this, you're actually way more productive that way. And that's my point here. I wanted to really insist on one thing is that yeah, we are really focused on everything, you know, ads, marketing strategy, techie stuff, all these things to run our business, our music, and all. But what we really never lose sight of is actually the music itself, because this is the start of everything, and it's what makes each and every one of us absolutely authentic and unique, and that's how we deeply connect to our audience. So we really have to make room for our art and take pleasure in it.
Yes.
And I've really given this a lot of thought, and I've recently released actually a guide that's called My Guide to an Effective Daily Practice. It's you know, just a practical PDF guide, something really simple to help really optimize your practice time. It's I address you know, I basically wrote it for guitar players because that's my audience, but you can apply it to everything, even your creative process. And yeah, it's just to help you optimize your practice time to improve faster and you know, optimize your energy, your resting time and everything. So you spend less time, but you're way more productive. And if you want, it's completely free, and you don't have to subscribe to my mailing list, but I can put the link if you want to download it from my drive.
Well, Louis, how about you give everybody your email address right now? Give us your email
Yeah.
address, and anybody who wants
Yeah,
it can
of course,
shoot you
yeah.
an email and ask you for it. Go
Yeah,
ahead and put it in the chat, but also tell us what it is too.
doing that.
Awesome. Yeah, so everybody, if Louis is offering you this, his guide to practicing, and in synchronizing with your body, please he's going to put his email in the chat. You will all have access to this chat after each of the meetings, or the recording of each day, and also the chat history for each day. So check that as well. So, but he's also going to tell us what it is here in a moment. So check the chat, the printout chat, the document of the chat that you get later in the replay for his email address if you need to copy and paste it. So, Louis, go ahead and jump back in with your email whenever you get a chance. I am going to, I'm going to ask Deb now. Yeah, Deb, go ahead and unmute.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for all of this. Yeah, I mean, it makes total sense, everything you said. And as soon as you said women are 28 days, I'm like, yep. Those, I remember my menstrual cycle. And sometimes I almost miss it because of that, because it gave more delineated times in a way. But that's another story. I also want to speak, though, to mental illness like I have. I am bipolar 2. That's the lesser, stinkier of the bipolars, for which I'm grateful. You know, as much as I wish I didn't have any of it, I'm glad I'm not the first. And I'm very well managed by medication and a competent psychiatrist. However, my moods cycle 18 times as fast during a given day. And I've learned that I have to honor those mood cycles. So all of those phases you talk about actually do happen like this. I've learned if I don't rest when I need to, which could be a 10-minute nap in the middle of the day, I'm not productive. And I wanted to share my status with all of you guys in case anyone else is, or you know anyone else who has a condition like mine, to be gentle with yourself and say, okay, I'm having one of my weird, dark, weird mood swings. I know I will get out of it. And yes, I'm going to have to interrupt what I'm doing. And yes, I will move slower than maybe a lot of other people. But that's okay. I give you permission.
Absolutely,
Thank
yes.
you.
And you'll feel, like you said, you'll feel better as a result. You'll be more on your game for when after that nap or after you give yourself the freedom to go full on crazy and not do the dusting. So you'll feel better and you'll feel more you're just doing yourself a favor every time you do something more synchronized with your cycle, and it's the benefit is cumulative. You may feel the result tomorrow, or you may feel the result months from now, but it does build up. It's the kindness to yourself starts to snowball, and it gets more and more, and you reap more and more benefits from it the longer you're able to do it. So give yourself the time and the grace to do it as slow as you need.
And also recognize that there's always going to be trade-offs for this. If you need to take a nap, that means you're not going to be able to do something else. And none of us want to do that because we want to be on all the time. But if you don't allow yourself, accept that there are going to be some trade-offs.
Yes.
And that that's okay. And that eventually that thing you traded off will come back around.
Yes,
And
amen.
it will happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, yes, absolutely. You be kind to yourself, and you'll be amazed at the benefits that you'll get from it. And yeah, the just take your time and do it. And something, this isn't just, like I said before, this isn't just touchy feely. Be good to yourself. This is based on hard science. And if you are pushing yourself too hard for too long, whether it be in a daily cycle or a monthly cycle, you're doing something that should not necessarily be done at that time, then you're spelling disaster for yourself. You're not doing yourself any favors, and you're working against yourself. So if you say, oh, well, gosh, it's 10 p.m. and man, I'm ready to just hit the sack, or I just want to chill and watch my favorite show for a few minutes before I go to bed. But I'm not going to do it. I gotta go. I gotta hit it. I gotta be on the time. I gotta buckle down and be tough. I'm going to write that song right now. Then that song is not going to be as high quality as it could have been if you did it in the right phase. It's like you are literally working drunk. If your body is not getting enough rest, they've done studies on the brain and the chemical composition of the brain, and when you push yourself too hard to do it anyway, it's like being drunk. Your mind is drunk and needs sleep. It's not focusing as well as it could have been. So the quality of what you do, whatever it is not going to be as high quality as it can be. So that touches on what Deb said. So thank you, Chris. You have a question? Go ahead.
Oh, more of an observation.
Yes.
So, first of all, could you just tell all the directors of the?
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
I was going to say, can you tell all the directors to this so they don't push their composers to write 24?
Right. Amen. You guys aren't. You guys are not mules. You're not pack horses. You don't do it all the time.
But weirdly, they think it's like this rite of passage. Oh, I had to pull an all-nighter to get this job done. Like, and I'm thinking like it probably turned out like crap too, didn't it?
Yes. Yes.
You're working past stupid o'clock.
Exactly, stupid o'clock. I love that. Yes.
Yeah. I do cars as a hobby too. So when you trust me, when you get to you realize the point where you're working past stupid o'clock is like you're just breaking bolts. Things. It's terrible.
All right.
But a couple of times that actually happened to me. The two Celtic albums I did were actually soundtracks for dance productions. So I was waiting for the story, and then here's the story. Okay, they're going to start rehearsing in 4 weeks. I'm like, great, I got to write an album in that amount of time. So every night immediately after work, be in here for hours, get up in the morning, be on it again, do work, go to work, come back, do it again. Within 4 days, I was so sick, and I had to still work through like flu-like symptoms. I just had to keep going. So I'm like fever, like I gotta escape riding. I don't know how the music came out so good, but it did.
Right.
So I'm like, so after that, I'm like, I really need the next 2 years later when I had to do the next one, I'm like, I need the story way in advance.
Right.
I think I got it maybe 2 weeks earlier than that, and this almost nearly the same thing happened again.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
that's one of those times when, you know, life is just not going to work the way you want it to. So that's why I said many times, you know, just do the best you can where you can. And in a situation like that, it's like if you're just stuck, then if possible, like if you have a day job, if possible, if you have some vacation time saved up, that might be a good time to take some vacation so that you at least don't have to worry about the darn day job while you're killing yourself for this music project. So, you know, anywhere you can give yourself a little break somehow, do it, because then you won't be a zombie for your day job or for the music project. Yeah. So
on the flip side of a number of things, your environment, you close yourself off from outside of your environment, you can actually trick your brain back into a different mode. Because like sometimes here at night, shut the door. It's all because it looks the same all the time, whether it's daytime or nighttime. So if I start writing, and then all of a sudden you go into that other state. If an idea pops up, then all of a sudden I can keep going, and it's like the same creativity as in the morning.
Yes, absolutely. That touches on what I was saying about nature, about us being creatures of the sun and the moon and the seasons. So, you know, play around with your lighting if you need to. So if you get up in the morning, the sun's out, open all the windows, turn on every light in the house if you have to help yourself wake up a bit more and have a bit more energy. And then at the same time, when the sun goes down, try to turn off as many lights in your house as possible. And if you're really crazy, like me and my husband, switch the type of lighting. We had fluorescent lighting, you know, the super bright light everywhere in our house. And then we're like, you know what? We're damaging ourselves with this at night. So let's switch. So we switched all the light bulbs in our house to the incandescent kind of light bulb, a warmer light. So we turn off as many lights at night as possible, but the lights that we do turn on are the warmer lights, not the bright fluorescent light. And have blue light filters on all of your devices and even on your TV, so that you're not messing around with your body's chemistry. Because the TVs, especially the modern TVs and all of our electronic devices, are built literally to be as bright as the sun, to mimic the light, the sunlight, the UV of the sun. So if it's midnight and we're looking at our smartphone, we are feeding our eyes ultraviolet light, and so we're confusing our brain, saying, wait, is the sun up or is the sun down? I don't know. So you can mess with yourself that way. So yeah, so if you need to change the lighting in your house, something like that, adjust your environment to help you achieve the results that you want to achieve. Yep, definitely. Thank you for bringing that up. All right, anybody else, please feel free to comment as well. It doesn't have to be just a question. Go ahead, and now's the time to talk. We can share stories as well. I'm going to ask Louis to come back on and give his email address. But yeah, jump on and let's just talk about anything now. We can talk more about, you know, our creativity. But let me just close by saying that this has been a fantastic weekend. I love spending all this time with you guys.
Hip hip hurrah for Jacqueline and Megan for inventing the first music marketing mastery conference. Woo!
Thank you. Love spending this time with you guys. Thank you for being here, and it's been so great to connect with all of you. And let's just keep it real. Above all, let's keep it real. Let's talk about our failures. Let's talk about what works. Let's talk about what doesn't work. If you're here, chances are you've already dumped a lot of money into learning how to be an independent musician and market your own music. So now let's be a collective. And now let's be the brain trust. Let's support each other and just give back, you know, karma. Let's give each other, let's learn from each other's mistakes. Let's share what works, share what fails. It's all about us being together and being a community. So we've learned a lot of stuff this weekend, right? We learned a lot of stuff. We've been inspired by each other, which is why I wanted to be the last one to talk today about burnout. Because now that you're all full of ideas and you're like, whoa, I gotta try this, I gotta try that. Whoa there, pull back on the reins and do it at the right time, when it's better for you, better for your body, so that you don't run your body down into the ground and make yourself worse, or take it in the other direction and make yourself even better than you already are.
Very wise.
All right, so Louie, could you go ahead and give us your email now? Tell us.
I am so grateful to you, Megan, for sharing this at the end, because I am definitely in my introspective time right now. So I have like my brain going kind of a mile a minute. My body is like, can you please go to bed as soon as possible? And I know now, like I've learned from having sessions with you about this specifically and recovering from my own burnout, that it's okay to have that inspiration and to have that mental activity, but to also listen to your body at the same time and go, okay, I hear you. I know that you want to go make a music video right now, but we're gonna write that down, gonna get it all out, and we're gonna go take a nap. Yeah. And that I know when I do that and when I honor that, I end up having more energy to do it later. So like that fear I used to be running on of like, ignore everything that's going on with your body, all of your needs, and just focus on the thoughts that come to your head and take advantage of them and take action and take action. Like I used to be fueled by that. And knowing that like it's not a black and white. It's not, oh, now I turn all of that off and I just sit on the couch all the time. It's honoring everything that's going on within you and the external needs of your life and your world, and finding that balance of like, okay, I can't go take a nap right now, but I'm gonna do it later. And I know that it's all gonna be okay because I understand my cycle and I understand the needs that I have right now. And taking those baby steps too, not going, oh, I know all this stuff now about burnout and how to avoid it, so now I have to apply all of it tomorrow. Yes. You're like, you're going to learn it as you practice it, and it's going to become easier to hear and be aware, like you said, of what's going on in your own body, what your personal cycles are, and what your like awareness triggers are.
Yes. You didn't burn out. You didn't burn out overnight, so you're not going to recover overnight either.
Exactly.
That's wow. That's a profound statement. Yeah.
Good. Thank you. So thank you for bringing that up. Something I hope it helps you as well. Something that helps me is I have a lot of the same thing. I have this great idea, and I'm like, oh, I should do this. Let me go real quick. Let me just go do this thing, and I pull myself back and I'm like, no. I know I feel this urgency to take to act on this great idea that I just had, but my action that I'm going to take is to write it down. I'm going to take action on this idea by writing it down, by adding number 501 to my to-do list of 500 things. And I find that having my to-do list all in one place is very helpful as well. I have, I say all in one place, but what I mean is my music to-do list is all in one place. And then my personal life, this is all in one place, my to-do list. And so I have them in two separate, but all in the same spot, and during my introspective time, that's when I go look at my 501 things on my to-do list, and I reprioritize or I delete. Deleting can feel so good.
Yeah.
It really feels so good, right? I just be like, oh yeah, that thing that I thought was a great idea 3 months ago, put a line through it, not happening. Not a good idea.
I deleted something right here. I usually have a women's, we all know each other through music, but through the pandemic, we've just been having sort of the ladies songwriting circle, and now it's sort of the ladies just chat thing. But you know what? I just said, hey, I'm in a seminar. I'm all day. I'm not going to come this week. That used to be really hard for me to do, really hard. And lots of things in my life have taught me that it's okay. I'll see them next week. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one thing I want to add about that is that not only when you take the time to take a little time for yourself to rest on everything, not only are you way more productive afterwards, but also, sometimes, especially when you get really tired, when the first thing that really makes you feel really exhausted is always the stuff you like, you really don't like to do. Like I love interacting with my fans and everything, but sometimes looking for new content to post, to really go on later and plan 2 weeks of posts and everything, it's really a huge pain in my ass. And when I really can't, when I really feel exhausted and all, I just sometimes I just don't do it, and my fans sometimes they don't really hear about me for a week, and we know that from SMA and all, we know it's bad, but afterwards I just come back, I say, guys, sorry, I just had to take a break, and I had some music to write and everything, and I had a very little time, so I know I've not been around much. But then what happens is that they say, hey man, it's okay, and what did you do and everything, and actually it really helps the connection, and you somehow you start over, and it's even more powerful. And then because I rested, I had many new ideas, and I had time to plan new posts that are really relevant and really authentic posts that I've written. I've taken time and pleasure to write and create and come up with, and it's really more. If you want to be pragmatic about it, it's really more effective. So.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, amen to that. Yeah, and keeping it real with our fans. Like Jacqueline said earlier, we're not all about buy my stuff. It's about a personal interaction, about being available. They're like, oh, you're the most available artist I've ever come across. Like, yes, that's us. And so, to be real, keep it real. When my husband was sick with bronchitis for months, like 3 months. He could barely get out of bed. So guess what? He wasn't really available to our fans. But when he was feeling well enough, he posted about it. He said, oh, I'm sorry for the silence, y'all, but I've been a mess. I can't breathe. I can't do anything, and bear with me. And the response was just amazing. The fans commented back, oh, try this remedy, try that medicine, try this, I feel for you, where they're like giving us chicken soup recipes and stuff, so it's awesome. to just be real, you know, because that's what it's all about, you know, just be real, and it makes a closer connection, not only you with your fans, but your fans with you. They feel like they know you, and that's what it's all about, is having those dedicated super fans who care about you and you care about them, and making music that these people enjoy. Yeah. Yeah, great point. Great point. Just be real. Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely seen the impact that has. You know, we work so hard to craft, like, you know, the perfect image or the perfect copy or the perfect email, and we want to make sure we come across with our branding colors and all these different things. And at the end of the day, when I post a selfie video and I haven't done my hair and I'm just like, oh, I'm in the studio, or I'm tired, I took a week off, or what do you guys think we should play next? Those kinds of things are the ones that get the most, like, not just engagement, but the kind of engagement that means you have real fans.
Yeah.
Right? The kinds of comments that you get is a higher quality, it's more personal. And you realize, like, it's okay to be me. That's what they're here for. They're actually here for, I heard somebody else on like a podcast talking about this, like, if you go to someone's artist page or their Instagram and all you see is photos of them, perfect, you know, branded photos, and that's all you see, what, scroll next, there's nothing to connect with. Right? But if you go there and you see different kinds of videos, they're being silly, maybe they're doing a TikTok trend dance, or they're showing you their dog or their pet or their kids, right? Like, you go, oh, that's somebody I can connect with. They're just like me. Or, oh, I love that movie that they love. You know, all that culture stuff we learned from Leah, it's really about being human. And the fact that we live in an age now where people can see through the BS.
Yeah.
So quick. You can tell if your carefully curated, perfect little Instagram profile there's nothing behind it.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And I don't have time for that. I want to be engaged and entertained, and I want to feel something. I want to feel understood.
Yeah.
And less alone.
Yeah.
And our music does that, but I think the social media platforms don't necessarily, you know, that's not the type of engagement that really fosters relationships. Is like, here's my music video, here's my music, listen to my music, right? It's who you are as a person, and what that speaks to about your music, and who you are in your culture, and what that connects to your fans about. And sometimes you'll find things you're like, oh, that's what my fans want me to talk about all the time. I never would have guessed that.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. We have.
All ties in with that burnout stuff.
Yeah. I've seen that happen. I've seen that happen 100% in my music business, and in our sister brand as well. If you don't already know, my sister brand is Puppies. Puppies. Alien Country is our band, and Alien Country Corgis is our sister brand. We breed and sell corgis, and so, and that's our motto. Just keep it personal, keep it real, be ourselves, and people absolutely love that. That's where the super fans come from. You know, people people on my sister brand, they're like, oh, you know, I'm not going to you know, I'm not going to buy any other corgi. I'm going to wait for you to have the corgi of my dreams, and I'm going to get it from you because I like the way you raise your corgis. I like you guys, and I appreciate the way that you raise these dogs, and because our niche is organic corgis. You know, we raise them totally natural and no vaccines, and organic. Well, not no vaccines, but non-toxic vaccines, and so, and we don't cut the tails off because it's a Pembroke corgi, the kind that doesn't have a tail, and we don't cut the tails off. You know, we're all natural. And they're like, you know, I want my puppy from you because I know that you guys really break your backs and you breed these quality dogs to have a really healthy lifestyle. So, you know, they're not going to go buy a corgi anywhere else. They're waiting for us to have the next litter of puppies. And when our music business, just the other day, my husband just took a few minutes to go live and say hi to everybody. and show him what's up, you know, what's new. And he was walking outside. He walked out of our front door and he walked over in the yard because, like I said, we live on a farm. And he walked over to the part of our land where we're building a little tiny home for his mother. And so he's like, hey, this is what's up on Alien Country Farm. We're building Grandma a tiny home. And he turns it around. And, you know, we thought that was interesting enough. But what got the most reaction, the most comments, was our chickens. Our chickens were in the video. Because our chickens, as soon as you walk out the front door, they mob you. They're all around you and they'll follow you wherever you go around the farm. You just have this whole flock of chickens following you. And so they could see that in the video because he's, you know, selfie talking like this, and the chickens were following him behind. And everybody's just like, yeah, I see your grandma shed, but those chickens are hilarious. So everybody loved the chickens. So the next time he goes live, we'll make sure that the chickens are there too.
I have a song about a hitchhiking chicken I'm going to send you guys. Because you live on a farm. Trucks and chickens and a little journey.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I'd love to hear that. Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Remember to bang the hood of the car before you leave.
Right.
Doing this because I do have to go, but I shameless self-promotion. I threw a link in there for everybody to grab a track from the Patreon thing I've been doing.
Thank you. That's awesome. So kind of you. Thank you.
For your listening pleasure. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll see you all soon, I hope.
Bye,
so
Chris.
much,
Thanks
guys.
for being
Bye,
here.
Chris. Take care.
It's great having you here. Bye.
Take care, Chris.
So yeah, you never know what your fans are gonna like. Go figure. Just be
Yeah,
real and
exactly.
see what happens.
I love too that definitely like validates that your alien country is legit, you know.
All right, we're gonna put the country in alien country. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and I've gotta give my husband a lot of credit because, you know, at one time, you know, I'm telling him at 1 minute I'm telling him keep it real, and then the next minute I'm like, no, don't go live now. The kitchen's a mess. And I'm like, if you're gonna go live, go outside. I don't want everybody to see what our kitchen looks like. And he's like, nope, I'm doing the live stream in the kitchen. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're fine. We're keeping it real for sure. But then, because my kitchen's a mess, people see the cast iron hanging on the wall because, you know, country cast iron, you know, cast iron is kind of culture specific. And they're like, what are you doing? Why is your cast iron hanging on the wall? And then he gets to launch into a funny story about why it's hanging on the wall and we're not cooking with it. And the reason we're not cooking with it is because he keeps ruining it. So it's another funny story. You know, messy kitchen leads into a funny story about how you should never put cast iron cookware in the dishwasher.
Oops. I learned that the hard way too once.
Right? Yeah. He kept ruining the cast iron, and I'm like, I'm not gonna re-season that thing again. Hang it up on the wall as a testament to me knowing my limits. You know, I'm not gonna re-season the cast iron anymore. I'm not gonna. You know, that's just not going to be available to me, cooking in cast iron. So I'm going to consider it a win of knowing my limits and knowing when to give up. And so I'm going to hang the rusty cast iron on my wall as a testament to knowing my limits.
I'd like
That's a
to hand it
great
to
story.
It is.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I also want to hand it to the new moms and the seasoned moms here. I mean, I don't have kids. I knew that just wasn't going to work for me with all my stuff that I deal with. So I really admire. I don't know how you do it all. I mean, you've told us how, but I still don't know how. But I bow down to you. I bow down to the non-music moms in my life too, because it's something I'm not able to do.
Thank
So
you.
thank you for managing to be so inspiring.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, if there's a will, there's a way. Determination is what makes the world go round, but also knowing when to give up, when to give up, when to be
Yeah,
determined.
what battles to fight.
Yeah,
I am an aunt though. So,
yeah.
but
Yeah, raising children is a great way to learn humility and
Yeah, it is.
knowing when is a good day to die and when is a good day to live, because you're like, you're talking to your lamb and you're like, okay, this is not a hill that I want to die on. So you go ahead, honey. You do what you're asking to do, because this is not the battle to fight. I'll choose a more important battle with you later on down the road. And if you wanna do what you wanna do, like if you wanna chat for 5 extra minutes with your friend, okay, that's not a hill I'm ready to die on today. You can have your 5 minutes. So limits, knowing your limits, knowing when to say yes, knowing when to say no.
Chelsea, I'm glad you're here because you've got your little one. It takes so much attention and you're tired and probably sleep deprived, but here you are, keeping it real
Yeah.
with your baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just put her down for a nap. So,
Yeah.
although I just heard some, so we'll see.
Right?
But
Yeah.
in the,
Yeah, but still, it's good of you.
I'm still trying to figure out how to do the music thing and the mom thing and music thing. But at the same time, I appreciate everything you said, Megan, about giving yourself some grace and some time, because I'm 11 weeks into this, so I guess I should maybe ease up on myself a little bit.
Well, pat yourself on the back for being alive today. You have survived the first 11 weeks.
Yes.
It is so tough, especially your first. And it doesn't get easier until you get like 3-4 children in there. So it will get easier, but that depends on how many children you're willing to have. So,
I was thinking too, I kind of like the man-to-man defense, listen, if you have 3, then it's zone defense.
Right, yeah.
So kind of like the ratios. But I guess that means every newborn's going to be hard. This has been a little bit of a unique challenge, just because, she's had some colicky tendencies. And then on top of that, with COVID, my mom wasn't able to come help, and all the restrictions in my province meant that we can't have anyone at our house right now to help us. So we've been on our own.
Yes.
And it's our first one. So trying to run a business, because we have a business together. Well, though my husband's doing most of the work right now. So,
Right.
but running a business and newborn, keeping the house clean, trying to get myself back into shape, because I don't recognize what's going on here anymore. And then squeezing in some guitar practice time. So it's been a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. It is some of the best advice that I got as a new mother was also the hardest advice to follow, which is when the baby naps, you take a nap too. That was it was golden, but it was so hard to do, because I'm like, quick, he's asleep, do some laundry.
That's kind of how I feel anytime there's a nap. I'm like, okay, like after this call, I'm about to go for a walk. It's going to get dark soon, so I'm about to go out for a walk, just because I find that helps with my mental, mental state. But yeah, every time there's a nap, I'm like, okay, I'm going to check my email. I might post on social media. I'll go for a walk. I'll do the laundry. I'll practice guitar. I think I need to chill out, because I'm starting to get an eye twitch, and so I had a headache.
The eye twitch is permanent. It's never going to go away.
Right.
Like, I have children.
Just
Right.
it's permanent twitches now.
Yeah.
Well, at least it's normal.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, definitely. So now that she's at 11 weeks, you don't have to nap every time, but definitely get 1 or 2 naps in a day. Now that she's as old as she is, so do that. Do at least make yourself not check your email, a couple of times, just twice. Make yourself take even 5 minutes, that can be enough. That can be enough. And you'll find that you'll be a better mommy as a result.
Another thing I do to balance myself is I allow myself permission to delete the Facebook app from my phone for 2 days a week. Not the messenger, because sometimes the messages and then sometimes it could be sales, but the actual app. The rest of the time, like when I'm live streaming, I want to keep that on because I often use that to see what people are saying on the stream. But I always feel a little twitchy before my first few hours I do that on Mondays, but then I realize I get a lot more mental energy back. So there's a time for social media on the phone. There's a time. Sometimes I'll delete Instagram for a week.
Yeah.
It's hard because we're supposed to be on all the time, but you just can't. And
That's fabulous advice.
so,
Yeah.
and then because you can always just reload it, all your data will still be there, but it's something. It's more compelling to scroll on the phone, whereas on the computer I don't have that problem because it's very businesslike.
Yeah.
But there are still times I want it on the phone. So I think everyone could probably benefit from that, but that's all you choose for yourselves.
Absolutely, that's great advice to
And
force
automatic
yourself.
posting, yeah, and that's why having some automated posting is really a good thing. And then you sprinkle it with organic stuff. But then most of my fans don't know that I delete my Facebook app off the phone,
Right?
because there's still stuff happening.
Yes, absolutely. Auto planner, auto posting is your friend. Absolutely. Yep, it's a great concept. Auto post and then sprinkle your organic stuff in there and they won't miss you. They won't miss you for a few days, for a week. They'll still be there when you come back. And so, yeah, you're cool. And force yourself, to go ahead. If that's what it takes, deleting the app, beautiful. Do it and at least turn off the notifications or something for a while so that you're it's not popping up and reminding
God, those
you.
are always off. I hate those little red dots. They drive me nuts. It's like
Right.
when it's on the phone, the 5 days a week it is. I look at it a lot, but that's just me.
Yeah. Oh, and something else that pops to mind is one thing that you can definitely do, all of us, that to force ourselves to have that chill time when we feel like, oh, I could be doing this, I could be doing that. For me, I had broken my body and my mind to the point where I felt like I always had to be on. I couldn't waste a moment. That I had to be doing something. I had to squeeze in a little something here. I had to squeeze in a little something there, and I could not relax. Couldn't relax. I had lost the meaning of what it was like to chill. And, motherhood did that a lot to me as well, because you feel like you got to be on all the time for the lambs. But once I got so far, I realized that I had almost lost the ability to chill out. And so if you find yourself in having a similar problem where you're like, you know what, I should be relaxing right now, but I don't want to, force yourself to do something that feels like an absolute waste of time. Force yourself to do it. Read a book, and not a self-help book. Read a fiction or an entertaining autobiography or play video games. Do something that feels like a waste of time, and you're going to be telling yourself, I'm reading this book, but I could be doing something else. I should be doing this. I should be doing the other thing. And you're going to feel bad about it. But the more you do it, the more you practice at chilling out, the better you feel, the better you get at it as well, to the point where now I am looking forward to my chill week. When my chill week comes up, I am looking forward to it. I'm like, yes, book and hot cup of cocoa, here I come all week. And I don't plan activities for my children for that week. And this is just our week for all of us to just stay home and chill. And then the other times when we're more high energy, that's when we do the play dates and the stuff like that. So now I can look forward to having that chill time, and I'm getting really good at doing nothing, at doing something that feels like a waste of time. And my life feels a lot better. The other aspects of my life have improved greatly because I forced myself to do something that felt like a waste of time at first.
I think what's also good is having a prayer time too, like prayer or meditation or things like that. you know, that's always good too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, meditation and that can so easy to fall by the wayside. You're like, "Oh yeah, but if I just need to check my email real quick before I do that, before I meditate, before I pray." Then before you know it, you know, you're exhausted and you got to fall into bed and you have, enough time to whisper the first 3 words of your prayer before you're snoring. So, yeah, absolutely, definitely make time for whatever relaxes you. Meditation and prayer, those things, that really recharges your batteries. Yep. That's what you're all about, right, Stephen? Helping people recharge their batteries.
Yeah. Yep.